With astrology-informed yoga classes, you can maximize positive planetary influences, minimize negative planetary influences, and live as your highest self. Visit discoverastroyoga.com and join the Astro Yoga experience to get ongoing guidance on how to change your yoga practice based on astrology.
Aquarians can be labeled as incredibly quirky, and they can have a wonderful sense of originality, and they can think outside of the box, which also means that they can be incredibly over analytical, and they can often lack awareness of what's going on around them. So today's practice is aligning with our inner quirkiness and allowing us to see if we can stay present without the need to solve any problems today. Expect poses that will align with our root chakra and the element of air. Hello and welcome back to your mat today. I'm Hannah and I'll be your guide through a beginner-friendly yin practice today. So if you happen to have anything that resembles a bolster at home, go ahead and grab that. An alternative to a bolster could be grabbing a couple of big bath towels, if possible even bigger than this, and you might roll them together. Sometimes grabbing cushions from the sofa or perhaps from the bed could also be utilized. So see if you sort of gather some nice big cushions. And I've grabbed a towel just because it can sometimes be utilized as a pillow or padding for knees or body parts on a hard floor or surface. And also anything that could resemble a block could be helpful. I've just gathered them because I always tend to do that in my yin practice, have them nearby. So something similar to a block, you could use maybe a book. You could grab a couple of books or a nice big thick book as well. So once you've got a few items that you might require, come and meet me back on your mat. We are going to start in a wonderful heart-opening pose as we're connecting to the element of air today. And I'll give you some options here. It might be that because it's the first pose right now that you want to have your bolster or your rolled up blanket lengthways down the back of your spine. So that could sort of ease you in today. If you've already been sort of moving around quite a bit in your day and you're feeling quite up for it, you could do the alternative variation where you'll be laying with your head lower than your heart. So I want you to feel into this first pose and really be aware of what is right for me. Not me, Hannah, that means you at home. So I'll go for the deeper variation. It's a bit later on in my day when I'm doing this. Right now I do feel like I could go for it, but it doesn't mean that I always feel like that. I might have something for the back of my head here, so I'm going to choose that. We're going to go for a reclined butterfly shape with the legs. I'll talk about the legs once we lay down. So let's start with soles of feet to the earth, the knees are bent, and start to lay your way back. So remember, you could have that bolster along the length of your spine rather than horizontal like I've gone for. I've decided to prop my head so that it isn't on the ground, and we're just choosing a position where we feel okay to be supported. So I've got my buttocks on the ground. If you've got the bolster lengthways, you'll also have your buttocks on the ground or just slightly propped with a blanket. And then you choose what you might like to do with the arms. It could be that you'd like to have the arms a little closer to the body to begin with, and then I'll invite some different variations in a moment or two. First few moments is always about wriggling in and finding a place that you could start to create a little sense of easefulness. If you would like to, you could change the shape of the legs and start to bring soles of feet together and the knees wide. And then explore how far away would I like my feet from my hips, creating a diamond shape through the legs. If you need any props underneath the knees, go ahead and do so. Or just keep the knees to the sky, the feet to the earth as we start it. I invite you to take a deep breath in through the nose. Feel your body rise above the props. And out through the mouth, really slow and gently. See if you can imagine your body beginning to melt around the props. Maybe you do that again. Inhale through the nose. And imagine that you are becoming part of the props beneath you as you exhale. One more like that. You may have already explored different shapes with the arms, but I'm going to unfurl my arms and take them a little wider. And again, just feeling into what feels right for your body as we begin to unfurl the heart space. Notice if you need to pull back, if you've gone too far into any of these poses. Make adjustments according to the needs of your body and mind today. So the weakness of an Aquarian is that they can be over analytical. Let's bring attention to our thoughts for a moment and just notice what may be there. Without judgment, without critique, create a space of allowing. Start to notice the sounds around you, the earth beneath you. Begin to bring attention to moving your feet back to the earth and knees to the sky. And we're going to figure out how we come off our prop. So see if you can mindfully imagine yourself moving off the prop before you go ahead and move. Think where you might want to bring your arms to help support you. Perhaps a light engagement of core as you roll up or off to the side. We're going to remove our props out of the way and lay completely flat on the ground if that's comfortable for you. Take a moment of what I refer to as rebound. If you need to wiggle again a moment or two before stillness, that's perfectly normal. It's fine. Be with the sensations of the body, realigning to natural curves. feel the support of the ground beneath you. The next pose that we're going to move towards is a reclined shoelace variation. So more often than not, we're not generally going to need any props here. If you want to put anything underneath your head, you're welcome to do that, of course, like a little pillow. But we're going to bend the knees again, soles of feet to the earth, the knees to the sky. And I just tried to align my spine to feel quite nice and sort of long there, a sense of evenness. And then go ahead and loop your right leg over the top of the left. Now, this could actually be as far as we go. Some people might even choose to bring something underneath the left foot, and that could be as far as we go in this pose. If you feel like you can, however, no props needed, we're just going to see if we can gather the knees in towards the body here. So as you can see, if you're watching, I've just taken hold of the knees, keeping right leg crossed over the leg. You might feel like you could keep going a little bit further, lowering the hands down the shins, and if possible, heading towards your ankles. If it is possible, you begin to widen the feet opposite directions from center, and you might even head down towards holding onto the outer blade of your feet. Don't worry if that's not available, just see where your hands might go. You don't want the head lifted or the shoulders lifted, but you might do that just to get there and then settle back down. Just the weight of your hands are sort of pulling the feet wider. We're not using any strength here, it's just gravity. And don't worry if you're in any of those first kind of variations that I offered, remembering it is your body, your practice today. No need to match what you might see on the screen or think you should be doing. Here we're working into our root chakra, the chakra of stability. And it's the very base of the spine at the tailbone, our first of 7 energy portals in our body. Maybe you ask yourself in this moment, how could I feel just a little more safe and secure? Do I need to make any adjustments in my posture so that it feels like I'm at peace here? You might have to pull back out of the pose a little bit, or maybe in time you notice a little more space and give in the body, and perhaps even the mind. Last 3 breaths here. Upon your final exhalation, you'll want to slowly go ahead and unravel your body. Plant the feet to the earth. You might go straight to stillness, or perhaps there's a little windscreen wipe that's needed of those legs. And then once again, come through to a place of rebound, maybe laying flat or slightly propped with the knees. These moments of stillness between the poses can be just as important as the deep stretch itself. Stay with the sensations. Allow for whatever is there to be there. The root chakra helps us to believe in ourselves, to know ourselves, to trust ourselves. We'll work through to the second side when you feel up for it. So setting up with both feet to the ground, left leg over the top of the right, and no expectations that it's going to look or feel the same as that first side. Perhaps propping right foot on top of a block or your bolster, and maybe you stay there, or gathering the knees up and in. And remember, you've got time here to linger, so no need to get into a very deep variation of this pose. In fact, in our yin postures, we're really only ever getting to maybe 50-60% of our absolute flexibility. There's always room for more in terms of physicality, and you're never filling that space. Linger in the space. Enjoy the subtleties of the pose, the sensations, the rise and fall of breath and thoughts. Thoughts will come. Just try to remember no judgment and free the thoughts. Bring attention back to the breath for 3 rounds. Maybe gently repeat, I am breathing in. I am breathing out. Final exhalation, we begin to gently unravel. Remembering, if you want to, little windscreen wipe of the legs, once you're out might feel helpful to re-engage with the body. And then finding ease and stillness, rebound. The final pose for today before Shavasana is going to be supported bridge pose. So you might need to come all the way up and gather some of those props. I happen to have them pretty close by. So you might choose your block and be really supported with that sort of heavy weight beneath you. I'm going to grab my bolster at this point and use that today. So to set up, you'll want to have soles of feet to the earth firmly, knees bent, and then we're scooping that bolster or your block underneath as you lift the hips. And because I'm using the bolster, for this I like to be really supported in the lumbar, the base of the spine, so I don't tend to sort of have my buttocks teetering on the edge. I like to be really supported. So I'm going to bring it right into sort of the buttocks and the lower back here. And then you choose what you might like to do with the arms. I'm choosing to have them quite close by, certainly to begin with. I have done just a little shuffle of the shoulder blades together here. Try to avoid looking too much towards the screen. We want to keep that nose sort of facing up towards the ceiling there. Once you find your way with the props, just take a few more moments to wiggle in and find a sense of ease and stability there. I've chosen to bring the feet a good hip width apart. The knees are straight up towards the sky, but for some, having the knees teepeed inwards can also be a nice resting posture. Here we're taking a gentle inversion where the blood starts to draw more towards heart and brain. We spend a lot of time with our head higher than our heart, so the heart has quite a job purely because of gravity, trying to pump the blood higher than itself. So in these poses, you might expect the heart rate to slow a little bit. Maybe the breath becomes more shallow. And it can be a wonderful pose for the parasympathetic nervous system. Rest, digest. Aquarians can be quite righteous in their actions. And perhaps there's been something that you've been afraid to speak your truth about lately. Maybe now is the time to speak your truth. Not be afraid to stand up for what you believe in. Remember humility in the process. And the last 3 breaths. When you feel ready to descend once again to the earth, if you have a prop like a bolster underneath the buttocks, you might choose to move it behind the back of the ears. That would be an interesting place to put it, behind the back of your knees. Or perhaps you're removing all props to lay in our final pose of Shavasana.
If you enjoyed today's class, make sure you like and subscribe. If you're interested in learning how you can align your yoga practice based on the current planetary positions, visit discoverastroyoga.com and join the Astro Yoga experience.